Alright. I know I've been putting up videos daily, but I haven't actually recorded for a bit. I have been playing well, though. Hit a new peak rating. I'm very proud. And have been looking at some lines in the Caro can, which I hope to get to try out today in our set of 5 Blitz games. Can't do it as white. Let's play Queen's Gambit. I don't think I play enough of these on stream. Alright. So often b5 is played. Here we're in a sort of hybrid Benoni where they're still keeping that Benko possibility alive. Okay, so now we're just in a Benoni. I'm gonna play normal development. Normally they've played e6 by now, and I'm not sure if there's something specific I can do to punish this. I do have the option of ed5, which I wouldn't normally have. And I know after ed5 in these types of lines, because I can keep an easier bind on b5, and because black doesn't have a target, it's often a slight but lasting advantage for white. So I'm going to try to prosecute that advantage against Sailor Moon. That makes me feel like the d6 pawn's a little weak, but I don't... Maybe my bishop will eventually come at it. I could throw an a5, but I think that kind of incentivizes b5. I'm going to make a waiting move. I think I'll bring the queen to d2 rather than c2, because there's no knight e4 yet. I honestly just didn't think about this. Maybe knight g3 to make sure if they take, they can't follow with bishop f5. But the knight on g3 plays badly with the bishop on g5. If they chase it now, I don't have bishop h4. So I'm certainly awkwardly placed. I think they should have chased my bishop, left this alone. Now my bishop has more retreat squares because the knight's not, because my queen's not in the way. So I think they should have tried h6 before, or I guess maybe my queen covered. No, it didn't, because h6, bishop h6, queen h6, knight d3. Yeah, and when my bishop came to e3, they could have played the same pestering knight g4. They want to come to e5. I'm going to play b3 to make sure c4 is defended when my queen retreats, but I do have to worry about this diagonal. Yeah, I have to play bishop d2, I think. This has gone very well for them. I think I have to play h3, because if queen takes h2 mate. Could try to trade queens with queen e4, but I think I want the e4 square for a knight. I'm going to play queen c2, try to play rook ae1, maybe f4, maybe a knight to e4, hit d6. Okay. I think I have to take that and then try to cover f3. If they play knight f3, I have king g2. So maybe queen e4? Yeah, try to play queen g2. Cover f3. I didn't have f4, which would be the other way to cover it, because the knight on g3 would hang. So I'm now up material. So if I can trade queens and play knight e4 to start getting at d6, then I have some hopes. I'd also like to play rook ae1 at some point. And I would like to include f4 as soon as it doesn't hang the knight, because their knight on e5 is very, very strong. Okay. Do I have anything to do but queen g2? I don't think so. I guess they'll play queen h4. I think I want to play rook ae1. I was thinking maybe f3, but then maybe knight e3, and also opens up to, ooh, definitely don't want to play that. So let's play rook ae1. Get off the long diagonal so I can follow up with something like knight ce4. Don't have knight f5 or anything. It's okay. Knight e4, do they play f5, f4? I take on d6. I think I have to try it. Another idea is bishop c3. Get their bishop off its powerful diagonal. I think they should try f5. But I think I survive. Okay. Now I can play bishop c3 though, and now f5 I play bishop takes d4. I'll have to play faster, as always. But if I get rid of this bishop, then I can start thinking about f3 sometimes. Often they have knight e3 in response, forking g2 and f1 if their rook's on it. But if my knight's still on e4, and we trade this bishop, I can sometimes play f3. Guess now I swing to f3 with the knight. Maybe try to hit d4. Slowly hoping to unravel. Guess I'll pre-move this. That do anything? I'm not sure. I'm going to play rook d1, see how they defend the pawn. Probably play queen c3. That looks pretty good. Is knight h4 playable? I don't have knight f5. Maybe queen f3. Now threatening knight f5, followed by queen takes. Ah, that's clever. Okay. I'm very low on time, so I'm gonna sack on f5 next turn, I think. Just because I have to try to get some checks. Yeah, that makes that hopeless, and this loses to queen takes g5, driving away the defender, but I'm out of time anyway. Alright, 0 for 1. I think they played a nice opening. I clearly misunderstood where my pieces belonged, and then I was too slow to survive after they sacrificed a piece, though I probably was okay there. But nice handling of the opening by them, quite poor by me. 0 for 1. Still looking to play Caro. If I see d4, c4, or knight f3, I guess I'll play c6 as well, and just try to play some kind of c6 structure. I'm not super familiar with it, but hopefully I can find some interesting things to do. I'm only really prepared against knight c3 or knight d2. Luckily we got it. And I've been looking at this knight f6 with ef6. They have queen e2 check here. Right. You play bishop d6, castles, and rook e8 are kind of the moves you make automatically without doing too much thinking. Then you figure out what to do with this bishop. Can I play rook e2? They reply bishop d6. I'd have to retreat with the rook. So I probably want to take this opportunity to get my bishop out. I think I should try to induce f3. I think that's a little weakening for them. You often want to pick g4, f5, only come to e6 if the previous two squares are denied. I want to play knight d7, but their bishop's preventing it. I'm gonna therefore take on f4. If they take with their queen, I can take on c2. Now I guess knight d7. Think about knight b6 to d5. Yeah, I'd just like to build pressure on d4 now. I can play c5, but then they have d5, so I'll just centralize my pieces. Nothing fancy. So they think they're a little better in the resulting endgames. I don't disagree with my doubled f-pawns. I think I probably went slightly wrong somewhere. I'm going to deny them access. Okay, I don't mind repositioning this knight anyway. d6 looks like a potentially decent square, and the knight on b6 was no longer doing much. Maybe come over to e7 and g6, question this knight. Okay, I can get this odd box formation if they take. Normally bishop versus knight in these endgames. It's supposed to be good for the bishop with pawns on both sides of the board. I'm not super convinced. Thinking about playing g5 next, so that f5 they can't advance past. Okay, I don't want to be in that pin. That does look annoying. Everything seems well defended. I think I'd like to play g5 and then f5, because if I can open up that king side, I'll still have these two pawns defensively ready to go. My one worry is if something like bishop c2, and they can do something on the diagonal. I feel like I have this massive defensive pawns, and if we start trading kingside pawns, they might suddenly feel a bit vulnerable. And they're trying to solidify that flank. That makes sense. I don't know whether I want to push f4 or take. For the moment, I can leave the pawn where it is. Maybe b6. If they come to e5, I might have rook e8, but they can save the rook. But there's a little for them to worry about here, I think. I don't know if I want to take, because if they take back h, I worry they have access to the h-file sometimes. Okay, so I can play rook e8. And I think I want to trade off rooks, because as I just said, I think some lines with rooks on are a little scary for me where they get the h-file. So I'm going to get rid of the rooks, and then try to find something for my knight to do. Take here, then take here. They should take back h. And where do my pieces belong? Queen e5 might be coming. I'm going to play king f8, try to play queen e7. Fight back on that file. I really don't mind the knight versus bishop position. I think I have a pretty easy time preventing king infiltration, and none of my pawns make for good targets for their bishop at the moment. Okay. So if I play f6, do you have a way to keep queens on? If you did, I'd be worried about letting them infiltrate, but I don't think they can keep queens on. If I took, they, I think, were improving their pawn structure. I think that was a fair point. So now how can I activate my knight? Maybe come to a5, think about c4. See where they put their bishop. Yeah, they prevented my access. Now my knight will have to swing around a different way. Maybe c5 coming, try to break up their pawns. Ooh, maybe I have given too much here. Okay, I'm going to play king e7, intending to meet king f5 with knight d6. Yeah. They can prod now, but does it do anything? Alright, I don't want to go there because of bishop d7. I have to play fast. Where does my knight belong? Oh, it's tricky. Let's try knight b7, maybe try for c5. But, they're making progress. They have played this well. Okay, I can hit the bishop, and that gives me time to not have immediate calamity. I control d6. I might threaten knight e5, driving their king away from me. I'll throw this in, play king e7, think about f6. They had d6 there, or g6 for me. But now I think I have freed myself sufficiently, and my knight can start to prod, and their pawns fall. Just about playing fast enough. Yeah. Okay. 1 for 2. I'm curious about that opening because I have been looking at this Caro can line and I'd really like to know where I went wrong. Well, in the previous game, I don't mind so much not knowing how d4 openings work, though I should look into that too. So bishop c4 is actually an interesting move because it prepares queen e2 without the queen getting in the way of the bishop coming out. So after bishop d6, I think white should play queen e2, and you can see the computer and database agree. After knight e2, I can kind of continue with my automatic castles rook e8. After bishop f4, yeah, so I want to activate this bishop, it looks like. Bishop e6 I didn't really consider, because that's sort of the default square when you can't get to f5 or g4. But here with their bishop on c4, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and after bishop e6, bishop d3 may have accomplished something. So I played bishop g4 though, which the computer does like. f3, and now I should just go to e6, just countering their bishop. I just kind of dismissed this move because I've not looked much at bishop c4. Ooh, bishop takes c2. I missed this shot. Bishop takes c2, queen takes c2, queen takes d4. But after rook f or ae1, there might be some troubles. Okay, interesting. Totally missed the shot. That's good to know about. Missed this idea too. Knight e5. Nice move. I thought about knight f8 to g6. I think a move later. I thought maybe I should have done that. but knight e5 is not a repositioning scheme I saw. That's clever, and you can see in the line that it does come to g6 later. Okay, interesting. And black did equalize out of the opening without much difficulty. I just didn't have a sense of what to do with that equalization, or where to exactly find it. Okay, 1 for 2. Let's go to d4. e4 didn't go great. Alright, I like playing against the Alec. Ooh, interesting. Okay. I play the exchange. Do I want to switch that up against this? No, I think I still would like to play it. Alright, with the pawn here, I guess I want the central space. Alright, I normally play h3 before knight f3, but if they're going to f5... Ooh, that was a terrible move. I should have played queen f3. I had a tournament game very similar to this once, where that was a nice job of punishing. So that makes me think maybe queen b3. But I guess I want to trade the bishop that they've put effort into. I now kind of threaten queen e4. I threaten rook e1, though they can easily parry it. Alright, so we got a slight space advantage. Where to put the bishop? Maybe b2. Get it on this long diagonal. And maybe sometimes it comes to a3. Let's play rook e1, keep an eye on the bishop, and think about bishop a3. Just trying to make this pawn a little unwieldy. I'm going to centralize the rooks. Okay, don't know if I accomplished anything. Maybe a3 and b4. Gaining some space. Maybe look to play d5 at some point, though a lot of times it just gives them a good square. Alright. Do I want c5, or do they undermine it easily? I don't know. I guess let's make a useful move. Improve my pieces. Just looking at my pieces and thinking what's the easiest one to put on a better square than it's currently on. And I thought knight f3. Okay. I don't have a3 anymore. Maybe queen f3. Just keeping an eye on f7 in case this knight moves. Start to really look at taking on d5. Also applying more pressure there with the queen. Try to force them to take because I think my pawn's quite strong on e5 and that really starts to open up the bishop's diagonal. I think I'm a little better here, I don't know how much. And they can certainly say that I have bad pawns, if, for instance, if they took on c4 first. Okay, so if I take, do I win a pawn? I guess I lose a2 at the end. I could insert cd5 such that they have a vulnerability on b7 at the end with my queen on e4. If they insert knight c3, I had bishop c3, I guess queen a2. I don't know. I don't want to play like a4 because I think bishop b4 is annoying. So I guess I do have to take. D takes, queen takes, queen a2. I have to play like queen c2 if I want to keep everything together. That looks ugly. They might have like bishop a3 or something. Don't think queen d4 does much. I can play queen a4. I kind of like this move. Because I think I get first access to their squares with rook d7. I'd like to play something like g4, just giving myself luft. Maybe not g4 exactly. I was thinking gain some space and don't open the diagonal with f4. But actually having pawns here and here is pretty vulnerable to an eventual invasion. So maybe, not sure which pawn to move. Maybe g3. Supports f4. Oops. Gives me king g2. Okay. Guess I should come in with the rook. They don't have rook e7 due to rook d8. Okay, we've got their rook to a passive square. Now I feel much better, and now I feel more comfortable making a move like g4. Will they be able to drive my rook away? Maybe rook c7 at this moment, so I have bishop a3 if they come to b6. and that's going to push their king away because my rook now has access to a new square. So now I'm threatening bishop d6. I think they should play something like h6, just make a little left. Okay, I'm going to hold that pawn. Endgames are complicated, and I have to play faster. That's a good move. I think. I can defend. But yeah, for how long? Not long. Right. I'm going to try to make a pawn that somewhat feels dangerous for them. If rook g4, f4 traps their rook. Their king has trouble getting out. Maybe I want to play bishop e5 next, start to make some threats for myself, prepare an f4. They did not want to allow that. Maybe bishop b8. Keep them a little tied to their pawn. Okay, I think now I have f4. I'd like to play king f3 to g4, I think. Okay, I'm playing too slow. Tried to click it like 3 times. Lost way too much time there. Let's hope they fall for a mate. They did not. Alright, somehow we clocked them. Not sure how that happened. Where did I go wrong in this endgame? I thought g4 made sense, giving myself space. E6 is interesting. I never really considered this possibility. E6, because if they play fe6, fe6, I have rook g7. Really should have considered that. Alright, but the computer does like g4. g4, king f8. Now e6 again. Yeah, see, I wasn't seeing that. So I went for rook c7, and then this bishop a3 check idea. But actually, with this pawn pinned, they get some activity. I guess they don't this way. Yeah, they should have played rook c8, coming to c4 as quick as possible. Okay, and here, yeah, take this pawn, because if they take here, their rook still has no invasions, and I can start working on their pawns, and getting rid of their well-placed bishop. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Was queen a4 good? I thought that was clever. So I'm just much worse here. And after queen a4 check, I'm busted. That's cute. Alright, did not see this. Because if I take the rook, there's queen b1. And if I take the queen, there is, of course, rook d1. And if I move my rook, the problem is they've gotten their rook off the attacked square, so they can just take my bishop. Okay, that's a cute tactic. I like that. Alright, 2 for 3. Oops, not the bullet. Playing Blitz today. Alright, hope I get another Caro cam. Ooh, exciting. To no one, only me. Alright, you can play this against knight d2 or knight c3, which is one of its nice features. Just take on the doubled pawns and play bishop d6, castles, rook e8. Queen c2 is like the main idea, and there used to be a discussion h6, g6, or king h8. Nowadays, the idea is h5. And white actually doesn't have an easy time playing against this pawn. Okay, I'm going to bring the knight to f8. Standard maneuver. If they castle queenside, I will look to play a quick b5. Probably bishop e6 first. That's interesting. They paralyze my h5 pawn so that when g4 comes, I can't just push past. Now if my queen ever gets to d5, I'll have some threats. I think I want to start, advancing on the queen side, get my storm going. I would guess f3. Okay, I can take and then play queen d5. I think I'll play a5 first, slightly sneaky, prepare to meet a b3 with a4. Because queen d5, I would fork a2 and g2, but do I want to win g2? I feel like I have a weakness. And right now they don't have g4 yet, because I just take. So f3 makes sense. All right, I'm going to play queen d5, keep an eye on f3, such that if they push g4, maybe I can take on f3 in response. And now a4. If they play b4, trying to close it, I might play knight g6, because they can't take twice, because a2 would hang. Yeah, so I think I want to get my knight into the game. And at this very moment, I have this knight g6 idea. Maybe I can play f5 at some point, just to fully close down the king side. Maybe I should insert a3, but I don't think so, because white playing a3 just opens up these light squares, so I don't need to kind of paralyze their pawn further back. Okay, now I threaten bishop f5, which is another reason they can't take the pawn. Not even queen takes a2, but bishop f5. I didn't see that when I played it. Alright. What's going to matter? I think the e file. So I'm going to double on the e file. Am I scared of g4? I don't think so. I'm not scared of queen takes g6 because I have a2. If g4, I think just queen f3 hits their bishop. Right, I think that just creates more weaknesses on these squares. Now they permanently, their pawn doesn't defend any of them. So I'm probably just going to play bishop f5 or bishop f7. Which to go for. f5 comes with tempo, but f7 stays on a diagonal that keeps them much more pinned down. So I think f7. Maybe I should look to play g5 at some point. This is opposite bishops, but that, more than being drawish, means they're stuck defending, and you see they already blundered, because now the queen can't defend a2. Ooh, that was a good one. Nice run out for this new opening I'm trying. Let's go to the analysis. 3 for 4 and 2 wins in the Caro can. Who said the Caro was boring? So, often black gets this free development with bishop d6 castles and then rook e8. And so, oops. And so white has this one particular scheme with a quick bishop d3, queen c2 to try to disrupt what black's doing. And there's this modern idea of h5. And the question used to be, do you play g6 and try to like block all the light squares? Do you play h6? Do you play king h8? And if bishop takes, maybe you have some way to trap it. You know, there's this modern idea which kind of says h6 controls the same square that f6 already controls so well. Why don't we just play h5? Gain a little space. You know, if they castle kingside, sometimes we just keep pushing. And the pawn's actually quite hard for white to target. The knight can't really move yet, and the bishop usually covers its squares. So in the game continuation, knight d7, yeah. I didn't know what to do with the bishop yet, so I decided to reposition the knight first. h4. So that was interesting, I thought, because it really does prepare g4 when if, say... Okay, g4 would be ridiculous now because I can just take it, but if they had, say, included f3, so say f3... Alright, f3 blunders a bishop. Okay, kind of hard to find a move for white, so, but... Say they somehow had gotten in f3 without blundering a bishop. I played like bishop e6. If they play g4, okay, I mean, again, I can take here, there's this move. But like, if taking seems scary to me, sometimes you have this h4 move. Though not often when I've looked at it, and it didn't appear to be the case here. So maybe this h4 is just, like, not only is it a weak move here, but a bad move in general, because actually when white plays g4, I'm never really pushing past. So this isn't particularly a useful thing. But often, when you think there's a weakness, you want to paralyze it where it is, and then start making moves that target it. So I thought their move was interesting. What should I have played? Queen a5. Okay. Did normal development. Now I have b5. I really like these c and f pawns, because they're such good kind of bases to push from. So b5, knight f4. My understanding of this opening is... If they castle kingside, our dark squared bishop is better. If they castle queenside, our light squared bishop is better. They have castled queenside, therefore I'm willing to give up the dark to protect the light on the square that we saw in the game was really good. a5. Ah, a5 is better than the immediate queen d5. Good. f3. Okay, queen d5, b3, a4. Just trying to blast things open. Yeah, it does look like they had to play b4. And now I have this knight g6 move because they're not really able to get rid of it. f5 is also something I was thinking about playing at some point, trying to block the king side. And now this opposite bishop's white is just not safe. So, yeah, rook e7's good. Nice. And a3 is just failing to contest the light squares. When you don't have the light squared bishop, there's this instinct, they have the light squared bishop, I should put my pawns on squares they can't target. But in this case, it means none of your pawns defend the light squares. Your queen's the only thing defending the light squares at all. And apparently this is just winning. And then after queen d2, it wins easily. But what if they had made, like... I guess they can never really play rook e1 defended by the queen, because this hangs. So say they played bishop g3 to try to play rook e1. I can invade, because rook e1, rook takes c3, crushes. Yeah, their queen's too tied down, because they just don't have the squares defended, so now they can never contest the file. Yeah. People overrating opposite bishops. 3 for 4. Really enjoying these Caro games. Hopefully I can get a third one. And won't have to embarrass myself trying to play a Slav. Sadly, that appears to be what will happen. Okay. Normal Slav moves. I guess I would probably want to try to get the bishop out. Often the problem is I need to play e6 to secure d5, or they have queen b3 hitting b7, but here they have neither, so I guess we'll activate. Knight e5, I'll probably play bishop h5, because they usually want to move the e-pawn in these lines. Okay, they don't seem to care. I guess I'll question the knight. Right, now we'll defend the center. Probably take on e5 and then play bishop d6. Solid chess. When do I want to take on c4? I don't know. The bishop on c3 looks slightly misplaced to me, because doesn't the knight sometimes want to come there? I guess they're going to d2. Maybe rook c8, play for c5. They have this vulnerable piece on the file that would normally be, a protected knight. Okay. Bishop f6, they can probably win a pawn, but I feel I'll have compensation. So I can gain some space with d4 and e5. Should I? Also like knight g4. That's pretty awkward for them to meet, because e3 walks into discoveries on the queen. But I might be able to get away with it, because if I take on like f2, they take on h5, or I take on e3. Alright, I'm not seeing justification of that, and I don't want to spend too long on it. So I'm going to play d4. Gain a little space. Maybe follow with d3. Yeah. Knight e4. Knight e4, e3, is my d-pawn good or bad? That is the question. I'm going to claim good. And I'm also going to claim I have to move faster. Okay. So I thought bishop b4. And then knight d2. And I think they're very tied down. Maybe they can just play a3 though. Maybe they don't care. Yeah, maybe this just doesn't do anything. Yeah. Oh man. Alright, so on b4 I can play knight c4. But this is not what I dreamed of. I really thought I was being clever. Very disappointing. Huh. Okay. I don't like that bishop. Let's get rid of it. Okay, gonna try to play against the isolated pawn. b5 or b6. That gives them time to get rid of the isolated pawn, though. I have failed in everything I've tried to do here, because they have d5 here. Then I have knight e5, though. Okay, they can't get rid of it yet. Alright, so we had a turn. Can we do anything with that turn? I think so. I guess d7. Try to play rook d8. I can play knight e5 here. That was one of my ideas. I guess I should. But the knight doesn't have, like, amazing squares to come to. And I've once again failed to stop d5. Yeah. Okay. Gotta play quick. I'm just giving them rook c7 in a lot of lines. Ugh. Okay. Okay, I can defend on f8, and then slowly unwind with g6 and king g7. Okay, reasonable move. Still totally dead on the clock. They should play rook c7 now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Alright, we currently have bishop d5 covered. Maybe I'll play rook a2, and if they play bishop d5 here, I have knight e3. Let's pre-move it, because I have no time. It's cute. Alright, now we're winning, but lost. Because of that dear old clock. So g5, h5, g4 check, and lost on time. Alright, lost a lot of rating there. That wasn't great. I liked this trick, where I kind of walk into the bishop diagonal, but I have knight e3. But obviously I am super busted there. I handled the isolated pawn wrong right around here. So I went for it with bishop takes f3, thinking I could play against d4. But my position's pretty active here. I could have played bishop f3 and knight e5. Ooh, I had this e5 move too. Just didn't consider that. So yeah, bishop takes f3, or e5 immediately. e5, knight takes e5, knight takes e5, queen f5. So I would have thought it was just winning a piece. Yeah, didn't see this at all. Yeah, complicated line. Okay. So e5 looks like it's working with some complications. There's also bishop takes and then e5, just didn't see the pin. This also has some complications, but... Okay, did not see the use of the pin. So I went for bishop f3 and then bishop d4. And then I thought about b5, but I thought they undermine and I'm putting my pawns on light squares. And is it really worth it to cement the knight here? But it probably just is. So b6. My one sort of trick was d5, knight e5 takes f3, and then I can take d5. But they just move out of the way. I should have played b5. Don't know why I resisted that so much. Really bad. And then my knight's just passively placed on g6. It just doesn't have access to the game. And they get to get rid of their isolated pawn. And then let's pretend this was because I was low on time, but I think I just handled this really poorly. And then knight d7 was a serious mistake when I made it, just after having sort of freed myself. Just giving them rook c7 for nothing, and I'm in a ton of trouble. Alright, 3 for 5. Enjoyed my Caro cans. Hope you did too. Cheers.